Chandler Larsen, welcome to the real beauty industry.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. So I put out this random reel, right? I'm the worst at social media. You're great at it. We'll talk about that later, but I am the absolute worst. And I put out this random reel and I expected maybe one or two people to comment and that would be it. And then our mutual connection, Evan,
Mhm.
responded and recommended you to be on here. And I'm so excited because you're kind of from our industry, but not from our industry. It's all intertwined, but it's not
Mhm.
direct. So tell people what you do.
So I'm a color analyst. So essentially, I help people find the colors that make them look the best, most harmonious, and then kind of help them create a style from it.
I love that. I watched some of your reels and the the way that women would light up whenever they would see themselves in the different colors, and then of
Yeah.
course there's the obvious, like you can actually physically see the colors that are changing. It's so similar to what happens when a hairstylist is behind the chair, because you can see as soon as that woman's hair gets dry and it's a different tone
Hmm.
or it's a different color than she was using before, like, or than she had before, she sees her whole world open up, and it's something that we're
Yeah.
blessed to see. So what do you love about what you do and getting to see that change in people?
Well, honestly, just kind of exactly what you said. I work with a lot of women who are like going through hardships, whether that be just different phases of life where it's, maybe they're like fresh out of motherhood or like in the thick of it. And so they're finally like, I want something for themselves, or maybe they're getting a divorce, or maybe they're just going through, anything in their life where they just haven't had that confidence or that like strength or anything like that. And so to have them come in and be very vulnerable, it's really vulnerable during our appointments because you have to like sit in front of a mirror with absolutely no makeup. And sometimes I have to put like a scarf over your head. It's like a pretty vulnerable thing. And we're not used to staring at ourselves for like 2 hours. Um, but so it's cool to see that transformation. It's cool to see people take something that they want and actually take the action to make it happen for them in those first steps in feeling their best selves. And then the best part though is when they actually lean into it and they'll reach out to me and just be like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't believe how something so like simple really does make such a huge difference." And it does. It correlates to hair, to makeup, to jewelry even, and it's it can be very simple, just like subtle changes, but you just see them really blossom and it's so fun to just see that difference and see their confidence. And I've even had like husbands or partners reach out to me and be like, "Wow, like my wife or whoever has just like exploded in confidence." And it's so cute. Those are my favorite. But anyways, so I love that. And I love that it's something simple but really impactful for like helping people just see how beautiful they really are.
I think that's so cool. The part where you're sharing not just what they're experiencing, but when you're getting feedback from outside sources, like
Hmm.
that's really, really powerful. Because as I think as women and just as humans, I mean, I have two teenage daughters and I definitely see them sort of go through it. Like you're always in this race, whether you are independently confident or not, there seems to be
Yeah,
always like underlying working to, like, you want positive feedback from people and you want
sure.
other people to see you maybe in the way that you visualize yourself or want to visualize yourself. So it's interesting, and I'm sure not only good for you but good for them to get to see that. There was something that you said in our pre-interview. We don't ask a lot of questions because honestly I don't want to know a lot. I
Yeah.
like to discover it as we're going. But you said, and I have to quote you because you said, knowing your colors and personal style isn't superficial and it impacts a lot more. And I thought that stuck out to me so much because we do feel like maybe it's selfish, maybe
Hmm.
it is superficial to like care that much
Hmm.
or to take this step. And I've seen women, I mean, I've been in the beauty industry for over 20 years, and so I've seen so many women feel guilty. And it's interesting, the later in life that they get, like the further along that they get, a lot of times it gets even more so. Like the more people that they're responsible for, the less that they give to themselves. So
Yeah.
dive into that a little bit more for me. When you say it's not superficial, but it's like, but it is about the outside, right? So
Excuse
tell me more about that.
So it sure, like it kind of can be superficial in a way, right? But there's nothing negative about it. Like what there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel your best and look your best, save money, save time. All of those things come together. And so how can you say that that is like just trying, yeah, like to be superficial, like, oh, like, you just want attention. Oh, like I hear this a lot, not necessarily from my clients, just like the internet,
Mhm.
of like, just wear what you like. And it's like, yes, just wear what you like. Color analysis has never said, at least in my experience, like you cannot ever, ever, ever wear this color ever again. I try to do it more on the side of like, if you love this color or if you love this type of style, let's figure out how to marry the two together so that everyone's happy. But people come to me because they know that it can be impactful. A lot of my clients want to feel their best or they just feel so stuck. Like all I wear is leggings and a t-shirt or jeans and a t-shirt. I have no sense of style. Um, or maybe they've gone through like a huge weight loss change, or maybe they just survived cancer. Like there are so many options out there and people feel stuck, and this gives them the opportunity to just take the reins, but also take out all of the decision fatigue that comes with it. And it sounds so silly, like, but there are so many times where we get dressed and we're like, what do I wear? Or we have an event and we're like, I have so much stuff in my closet, but I don't know what I like. Or we buy things and then we get it and it doesn't fit, or we don't like it, but maybe we don't know why. And so it just sits in our closet. And so it just, it gives you parameters that are all positive. And then beyond that, you are taking out all of that guesswork. And so then you're just showing up for yourself, but you're also looking good. And I'm a big believer of like, when you look good, you feel good. And the opposite, like if you feel good, you're going to look good. And so it doesn't matter what phase of life you're in, or like if you are aging, if you're tan in the summer, or if you're not, like your palette will support you no matter what. And it's like your best friend for life, and it's really great. And I just think that if we can teach people to see their own unique beauty, then like why wouldn't we do that? And there's nothing superficial about it. Like I would never tell somebody like if they love to wear a certain outfit, I would never be like, but it's ugly on you. You know, like that's just so weird. So this is just the science behind it. And I think people who don't understand what it actually is or haven't experienced it or seen it just don't understand how it's so much more than just I want to look good. Like I deal with so many amazing people and I get to hear their stories, and that's been amazing to just see their growth and everything too. So
I love that. I think that it's interesting because in our world, there's a lot, especially over the last, I would say, 1 to 2 years, there's been um, a lot spoken out about in regard to like pricing in our industry. And it really is like a value conversation, if that makes sense. And so
yeah.
the value, there's this constant push pull that it's not worth it to spend X amount on this, or, hairdressers are charging too much or things like that. And
Hmm.
I think the one thing, and this is, I'm coming as someone who probably is at the upper end of pricing whenever I do hair.
Hmm.
And the way that I look at it is very similar to what you talked about, that the women that come to me that spend, let's say, 2, 3, 4 times what most people are used to paying for their hair, those women aren't usually coming to me because just their hair look like to get their hair to look a certain way. They're coming because of a certain like feeling that they have, which part of it has to do with the way that they look, but so much
Sure.
of it has to do with being able to relax in the fact that
Mm,
they do look the way that they want to look, or they do look in a way that makes them feel a certain way. Like it has so little to do with their actual hair and has so much more to do with mental emotional states, and so much that in a
mm,
lot of cases when they're I think when women are receiving a service that has gone beyond just this is how I look, and it whether it's what you're doing, what we're doing, like women who have embraced that finally understand, I think, that there's a certain type of feeling that they're trying to create in their life that reduces stress and anxiety and all of these things that goes so
mm,
far beyond just the color that you're wearing or what your hair looks like, or anything. So I love that. And it brought me to something else. It's one of the last reels that I looked at of yours last night. And it was not something that you speak on a lot, or I didn't see it in a lot of the reels, but I thought it was really, really important because it's so in alignment with what we experience on our side of the industry. And that is the way that other people view what you do. So, like,
mm.
when, let's say, when you decided you're like, I'm going to become a
Yeah.
color analyst, I'm going to become a color analyst. And then people are like, huh? What? You're going to do a what? Like, however that came out, for most people in our industry, if they say I want to become a hairstylist, they could be super super young, and the immediate is like, oh, you're going to be poor, or oh, I mean, there are hairstylists who'll come into the industry who are like 20, 21 years old, and literally a client who is super happy with them will say, what are you going to do when you grow up? Like, when you're like, what are you going to do for your career?
Wow.
Like, it's a constant battle to
Mm,
be seen as like a real job.
yeah.
So I wanted to know more about that, like your view on that, how you've overcome that, like how does that show up and appear, and why would you speak out about something like that?
Well, I don't know. I am a pretty strong personality, so I don't personally, like in my own experience, if someone's, I think people just know better than to be like, well, so what's your real job? Because like that's just not my personality. Like my
Yeah,
whole life, I've just, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it 110%. It doesn't even matter if it's just like wrapping a Christmas present. I'm going to put my best effort into it, you know? And I'm still not even good at that. So, but, but, so my story, kind of to backtrack a little bit, is I was going to school. I was originally going to school to be a therapist, which is great. But some stuff happened where like money was more important than going to school, and I had to like pick one. Like, do I pay rent or do I go to school? And so I just kind of dropped some classes, focused on work, and I ended up working for a company, and I loved it. It was kind of like corporate, and I worked my way into like HR, and I was doing a lot of social media marketing type things. And slowly, you know, school just kept like being farther and farther away. And sure, like I know my parents and like family or whoever were just kind of like, so when are you going to go back to school? And I was just kind of like, eh. And I've never really honestly been like a school person. I love learning, but I don't
mhm.
like the structure of school and having to, you have to pass this in order to take this class. Like, no, I just want to go straight here. So, anyways,
Yeah,
um, and, but I learned a lot corporate. So then I, we were moving to another state just for my husband's work. And I had a son at the time, and I was like, you know what? I am kind of tired of traveling. I was traveling a lot at the time. Um, and I didn't need to work. So I took the opportunity to like be at home with my son. Um, but being the personality that I am, I can't sit still. I get really bored, and I love my kids and I like to entertain them, but I needed something for myself, especially in like a new place where I literally knew nobody. So I actually got into makeup. And when you tell somebody you want to be a makeup artist, that is like, okay, so what's your real job, you know? But it's also just kind of like, oh, cute, like you're just making a little side money. Um, but I was just like, well, yeah, but no, like but I'm going to be the breadwinner. Like, that's just my personality. And my husband's the best. He's like, when can I retire? And so I got into makeup, and um, honestly, it was pretty great. It was not super competitive at all. Like, at least where I was at, the people I kind of like was connected with, it was just everyone was cheering you on, and it was really cool. And but then I got really tired of doing makeup. Um, I was working with some like affiliate type things, and it just wasn't like perfectly aligning with what I wanted to do anymore. And so I've always been interested in color analysis. I had my own done, and I loved it. It was like life changing. And it sounds so cheesy, but it really was. And so um, I was like, I kind of want to do this. And it was good timing. And my husband's amazing and was just like, yeah, like, let's figure this out. Um, and so for me, I think it was an easy transition. Like, makeup and color analysis would go really well, similar to hair. Like, all of that is encompassed together. And so if anything, I think for me and my experience, it was more of like, oh, now you're doing a real job. So like, it was like, oh, now you're doing something more sustainable. But then you have like AI and apps and things. So, because color analysis got really popular with like TikTok and social media the last couple of years. And so, like, so many people are just like, well, is AI going to steal your job? And I'm like, no, AI wishes it could have my job. Like, it's not that easy at all. That would be like asking AI to do somebody's hair. Like, there's no way.
Right.
Um, and so, but long story long, to answer your question, when I got into the color analyst world, not my, so my mentor in her program, outstanding. She's kind of somebody who has pioneered, like, we need to have way more community in this industry. Um, Everyone else slightly, like, at first, I was like, whoa, nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody's willing to share their resources. Like, people are blasting me on the internet. And like, as a new analyst, you're learning a lot and
Mhm.
you're gonna be wrong. Like, that's part of being human. And I'm not afraid to be wrong, but as long as I can fix it, right? But so to see people um like critiquing openly about me, because I already had a platform, and so I think it just kind of blew up,
Mm.
and I got like, so like I was able to book things quickly and all of that, and I had social media presence, so like reels would go perform really well. Anyways, and so I think a lot of analysts out there feel very threatened, especially some of the like legacy ones. Um, and I shouldn't say that because they're still out there and they're still training other analysts and stuff. But in my experience, it was just really shocking to go from like a really supportive community where everyone was like, let me tell you all my tips and let me tell you all the products that I use. And like, yes, I would love to like collab with you, to like nothing. Like, it was like everyone was locked down and I was just like, okay. But for me, I'm super resilient and I'm just like, okay, well, I'll do it myself then. Like, I'll figure it out. I don't give up easy. I think part of that is being on social media for so long. I've been on social media for like forever, over 10 years, and you deal with a lot of crap. And so, I don't know, you just figure it out. And, but, so that was interesting. But so my intention with being an analyst is also to be a valuable resource, not only for my clients, but for other analysts, because there are literally billions of people in the world. Like, I'm not going to resonate with everybody. Not everyone's going to like my system. Not everyone's going to be able to come to me. So like, why, if I truly say that I want people to feel their best, embrace the aging process, feel their most confident, why wouldn't I allow somebody else to give them that opportunity? Like, that's the underlying message. So please, like, whatever. It is a luxury service industry, in my opinion. Um, like, it's not just like a short like quiz that you can take and pay like $4 for and move on. But it's an investment, and it's an investment for life. And so that's really cool. And so get it done correctly. And so I just think that, I don't know, I just want everyone to like everyone. And like, let's just all be friends and help each other out. Um, so yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
No, it does. And it moves into this. So there were three things that I noticed as we were going through, as I was going through your content, as I read through the pieces that you had said. And the third one was this, like space of community, because what you said about how surprising it was that sort of as you got your feet on the ground and started gaining some
Hmm.
traction and success in your industry, it seemed like you didn't use this word, but like everyone just sort of scattered. And then at that point, you said the word blacklisted. And and it was like, now I don't want anything to do with you, right? And in our industry, it's interesting that there are communities created around hating other people in the community. I mean, a new
Right.
coaching program can start based upon like hating
Hmm.
some specific something that's either popular or widely accepted or whatever in our industry, and
Right.
someone who has a platform. We've actually seen influencers. um, there's one big company in our industry that has literally jumped from like not only like different niches, like they've gone from like niche to niche to niche to niche, to also like which part of the community that they're going to talk to at that moment. It's like, I'm going to talk to hairstylists now, I'm going to talk to business owners now, I'm going to talk to suite renters. Like it's just sort of what can I get people's attention, right? Like, how can I get people's
Yeah.
attention right now? But what happens a lot of times is you actually do see this sort of cutthroat competitiveness. And I've been in the education space in our world for a long time and helping business owners. And it's funny, I can be in any other part of the world other than the city that I'm from,
Yeah.
and I am welcomed with wildly open arms. But in the direct, like the community that's directly around me, I think a lot of people can speak to this who are in our industry, because it's such a like local community type space, a hair salon. And I mean,
Hmm.
it is just like, you don't talk to each other, you don't even look in the like the same direction. I mean, I've sort of been on a corner by myself for a long time. And it's like what you said, like there's billions of people in this world. And even, I'm from Houston, Texas, which there's like 7 million people in the greater Houston area. It's like
Right.
I
Right.
couldn't do every single person's hair if I did, hair 24 hours a day
Right.
for the rest of my life. And there's so much to go around, but it does end up being cutthroat. So have you seen any breakthrough in that space with anyone in color analysis that has worked out in a positive way? And then how do you recommend fostering that? Like, what
Good
benefit does it
question.
have to you to work with other people in your industry who are quote unquote out for the
Yeah.
same clients?
No, that's a good question. So there are definitely people out there who are amazing that are not even in my industry, are in my industry, not in the same like system, not in the same area, that I have definitely connected with. And it's my favorite thing ever. I'm like, yes, we're all
Yeah.
friends and we're all like hyping each other up. But, and the thing for me is I never make assumptions, right? Because kind of like to your point of like, you can be so removed from somebody or so far away from somebody, and all you're seeing is this tiny, tiny little bit that they are willing to share with you. And so for me, it's like if I'm watching another analyst video and maybe I don't agree with them, who am I to say that that's not correct? Like, I just, from my own experience posting things on the internet, I'll take my own video and I'll be like, this is not translating how I want it to. So, like, this is going to be controversial and it's fine. I'll post it anyways. But like, but I would never actually say something. Maybe privately, like, hey, I saw that you did this. Can you tell me more about it or whatever? But I always come from it from a place of like, I want to learn, I want to be better, and I want to just continue growing. So why would I burn bridges? There are some amazing analysts out there that I just like, I see them grow. I see them surpass me, even if we've like started at the same time. And I'm just like stoked for them because they are just helping others. And
Mm.
that is amazing. And like, there's one analyst, she's awesome. I love her. And she just like started her own makeup line. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is so helpful. Like, you're able to do something I can't right now. So like, I'll go support you. And it just, we're so interconnected with so many people. Like, we work with stylists, makeup artists, nail techs, like spray tan artists. Like, your color analysis can affect all of those areas. And so if I am not cultivating a relationship with that entire community, then like nobody's really winning. So if it's so great that I can be like, okay, here's what I recommended for your hair, but I'm not a hairstylist. So go to Evan, who was my hairstylist,
Yeah.
and like go talk to him, or go to, or like if they have their own hairstylist, obviously they would go to them. But so I like being able to have recommendations for people. When I got my analysis done years ago, it was pretty much like, here you go, figure it out for yourself. And again, I'm resilient enough where I'm like, okay, like challenge accepted.
Yeah.
But a lot of people come to me because they don't have the time to make decisions. So I
Mhm.
try and just provide as much resources as possible. And so if I can make connections with people in the hair industry, the nail tech space, the makeup art, whatever it may be, even small clothing businesses, like I would love that. And as far as fostering the relationships goes, I just follow the golden rule. Like, if I want someone to be supportive of me, I'm going to be supportive of them. I'll comment on their stuff. I will recommend people. There are so many times when my schedule is booked and I'm like, I'm so sorry I can't squeeze you in this week, but here's 3 other people that maybe you could go ask that I like trust. I
Uh,
love that. Like, why wouldn't I do that? And so I think you just start building rapport with people. And when everyone can see that we're not in a competition because we all have this underlying like brand of like we just want people to feel and look their best, then it just is so much easier. It's so much easier to be nice. Like, it's a lot of work to hate on people. Um, and so I don't know. I just never make assumptions. I just do my best, and then I just hope I get that back. Um, or I just hope that people come to me. Like, if there's an analyst out there or somebody, like, I just had a conversation the other day. I made a post about spray tans, and this spray tan, I don't know what they call themselves, like a spray tan tech maybe. She reached out to me. She was like, hey, I want to talk to you about this because this isn't, I don't think you're fully understanding it. Like, can we have a conversation? I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like please. Like, I would love to know more because I don't know very much. I just know like my own personal trial and error and experience. So we started that conversation, and it's great. Or like if an analyst is like, hey, where do you get your drape kit from? I'll tell you. Like, just, I don't know, creating an open space. And I think also being able to admit when I'm wrong. I think a lot of people in the industry are quick to be defensive, and I'm not saying everybody, but I think, and I experienced this myself, where it's so easy to just be like, well, you don't know, so this is right, rather than just being like, you know what, let me revisit this. I have had clients reach out to me like, hey, I think my analysis might be wrong. I am more than happy to revisit it. And I'm okay with admitting I'm wrong. Let me just fix it. I would rather, it's way more meaningful to me to have my clients feel like they can come to me and be like, I think you did this wrong, but I trust you enough to fix it, than to go to a totally other person and be like, well, Chandler sucks and I don't even want to talk to her again. So I'm going to come to you. Like, and I think that speaks volumes for the type of community that I've built. Um, and hopefully I'm maintaining that. Hopefully that's how people feel, like that they can ask me questions or ask for referrals or whatever it may be.
no, I love that. I think that one of the, and this was actually in the very beginning of my journey when I went to cosmetology school, I had a cosmetology instructor who set this up such the right way. And in our industry, um, a lot of cosmetology instructors have like never done clients before. So it's a really, there's like a break in our industry in the
Oh.
training. So some of them have either not done clients
Hmm.
before, they just went to school and then started teaching at the school, which is not necessarily helpful if you need career experience, or they didn't
Sure.
find success in a salon building a clientele. And so then they went
Oh.
to cosmetology school because you could get a steady paycheck, right? Or maybe they like teaching or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, just in
Sure.
case any cosmetology instructors are out there and they're like hating me for everything that I just said. But
They're like, no, I
the,
just like that.
I know. But my very first cosmetology instructor, she had been a hairstylist for like 38 years. And so my experience entering the industry was so profound and different because she was telling us,
Mm.
like, she was giving us bare bones, straightforward facts that made some of the people in our
Yeah.
class want to quit, but at the same time made me feel like, oh, I get it. Right. And one of the things that she said is never be afraid of the client who tells you that they hate what you do. Be afraid of the client who never says anything, because
Mm.
90% of people will not say anything and will just leave and
Right.
go,
Yeah.
whether they bash you or not, they'll just say like, oh, it just didn't work out. And people are afraid to
Yeah.
say that I didn't like what you do. Some people aren't. But if they aren't, that's almost a gift because it is a learning moment. And I love that you shared that and said that. And how do you deal with that?
Mm.
Because just like what you do, we get very personally and emotionally invested in being
Hmm.
great at what we do. So when someone says, I
Hmm.
don't like it can be jarring for a
Right.
stylist. Like I had one stylist have like 3 redos in a week and she was like, I want to quit. Right. And she was a beautiful
Yeah.
hairstylist, but
Yeah.
it makes you feel so personally invested. So how do you walk through those things with a sense of maturity and your, self-worth and value still intact? And like, this doesn't mean that I suck forever. It's like, how do you move through that?
Well, I usually panic for at least an hour. Um, uh, you know, like that's totally okay to like have feelings and be like, why am I awful? And
Yeah.
I'm still a baby in this industry. Like on paper, I'm a baby in the industry. And so it's easy to just panic or like feel sad or whatever it is. So totally honest, I usually call my best friend and I'm like, I'm the worst. And then she'll talk me down. She's a therapist, so she's amazing. Um,
Uh,
and then once I kind of get over the emotion, I just come from a place of like, okay, well, they're coming to me. So they trust me enough to reach out and to say something, and they're giving me an opportunity to correct it. And
mhm.
whether that be I just give them more information on why I gave them a certain result, because sometimes it is the same, or I fixed it and maybe I'm a little off. It happens. Your photo you send me can be really just different. Anyways, there's lots of scenarios. So I just try to come from a place of like, they're investing in themselves. They want it to be accurate and they are a visual representation of my work. I want it to be good. I want it to be correct. Honestly, I get so many referrals, which I'm so grateful for. It is like the biggest, like, I don't know. It's like the kindest thing you could ever do for somebody, right? Um, and so I just try and cultivate that. So I come from a place of like, okay, they're not being mean to me, right? They're not like just bashing me on a Reddit post. I don't know. I stay off of Reddit just in case, but um, I just so they come to me, and so I just come from a place of like, this is a business. If you're not
Mhm.
satisfied with something, you reach out to the company. That is just business 101. It is not personal.
Mhm.
But to your point, I think we get so not like attached, but like invested because we deal with their stories, we see their vulnerabilities, we're making them feel good. And so you get invested in that. And so for them to come to you and be like, oh, I didn't love it, it's like, oh, take it. But so I usually just have my moment. Sometimes I'm okay, like it just depends on the day. But and then I just I just deal with it. I don't know. I just know that it's not personal. And so I'm more than willing to just be like, okay, thank you for reaching out. Let's revisit this. And like literally 9 out of 10 times, everyone's always so kind and just like, thank you so much. Um, and there are days that are definitely harder than others. And I kind of like what you're saying with somebody who had like three in a row. That's how it feels. I swear, once one person gives you feedback or
Always.
reaches out, it's like a domino effect. It's always all at the same time. And so it does. It kind of, it's like, no. But I just have to remind myself that I put in the work, I'm putting in the time, and I'll take it as a learning opportunity any chance that I get because I am very passionate about it. And I really don't think there's anything that could happen where I would want to quit. Like, I have
Mhm.
never felt more aligned than I have.
Mm.
And I've loved all of my jobs. I really haven't had a job that I hated, to be honest, but this really encompasses like everything that I love into one thing. And it's
Mhm.
so fun. And it's just doing, it's accomplishing my main goal. And I don't know, I think it's kind of silly for people to assume, like, what's that saying that's like, if you have a job that you love, you'll never like work a day in your life? That's like total
Mhm.
garbage, in my opinion. Like, yes, to a fault, but like, you're gonna have hard days, and that's okay. But another thing I also do is I have boundaries for myself. So if I have working hours and I'm really good at holding myself to them. And I just have lots of rules. I always make a list like at the beginning of the year or if I ever feel like I need to like revisit like what am I willing to sacrifice to in order to achieve my goals and what am I not willing to sacrifice? And is any decision that I'm making right now hitting that? And if I'm working towards a really big goal, is what I'm doing right now going to accomplish that? And so that kind of grounds me a lot because I am a people pleaser. And so I'm a big people pleaser. And so I just like, I want everyone to be happy. I'm willing to sacrifice like my time, my money, whatever. But again, it's a business and I do have to make decisions. And there's a part of me that was always like, they're gonna hate me, but they never do, and it always works out. And honestly, people are very respectful. If like you're respecting your own time and your own boundaries, people just get it. And I'm really, really like blessed to work with amazing people who just are like, please take a vacation. Please, like if your husband's calling you 20 times in a row during our appointment, please answer it. Like, you just never know
Mhm.
what's going on. And so I don't know, having boundaries and being okay with having a moment of freak out. Just let yourself cry sometimes. You're good.
100%. There's like so many things that you just said. Um, I was writing down so many notes and during the time, but I think on the last thing, even just bouncing off the very last thing that you said, one thing that I've noticed and I try to convey to younger people in this industry, because we're it's very common for people to not make it out of cosmetology school. Like if out of 10 kids, you might see 3 even
Yeah.
actually attempt after they pay. And now cosmetology school can sometimes be $30,000 or more. They go to it, they do it, and then 3 out of 10 only actually start. And then out of those 3 out of 10, you might see 10% of them even make a career out of it,
Right.
like past 5 years.
Right.
Most of them will quit before 3 years. So there's a lot of um, there's a lot of people who do not make it, but part of it comes down to there's two things that I see. Number one, your whole overarching message was, look, it's not about you, right? Like taking it personally,
Yeah.
it's really about them. It's about their personal feelings about themselves. Like when they hate the way that you did their hair, or you did the color analysis or whatever,
Right.
it is they are saying like they hate the way that they look, and it is about them. It is not about like, even if they get angry
Mm,
because it was at your hands, it's like, no, but it's still just about them. And I think that emotional side of coming into a creative
yeah.
industry where it is uh it is, I mean, it's following someone else's view and vision, really. Like it's a collective view and vision, essentially.
Yes.
And so you do have your heart, soul, and creativity that lives there, that creates emotions on both sides. But the other aspect that I think I would love your take on, that you were giving like an underlying theme of that whole thing, is that when you are looking at, so you can look at your art and your craft, which is the thing that you do,
Hmm.
right? And that part can feel personal, but that is such a, like, the art and the
Hmm.
craft is such a tiny portion actually of what we do, because the business underlying here, right? You're not just showing up in your kitchen and
Yeah.
inviting your friends over. Like, people are coming and paying you, and that requires business
Right.
to be at the core of it, which actually helps to separate the emotions, because it really is just business. So I'd love to
Hmm.
hear your view, because I think that that really is the break that causes a lot of people, and I don't care what industry it's in, a lot of people who feel like drawn to something creatively or passionately, or it's like, follow your passion, do all of this stuff. Or a lot of the reason why people don't end up successful doing that is because they don't realize that you have to build a business around that passion,
Yeah.
and the business side is not always fun.
Right.
So how do you balance that? And I would say, how much weight does each have in your world in order to do this sustainably and long term?
Oh, that's a good question. So, like balancing being professional versus being creative, is that what I'm
Well,
understanding?
yes. And like getting your mind into the business mind versus just the like provider's
Okay.
mind, right? Performing the service versus being in the
Right.
business mode that I
Okay.
have a job to perform this service, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So I think part of it is just I want this to be my career. And so I just immediately have to flip that switch of like, yes, I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and that I love to do, but it's not sustainable if I'm just, doing everybody for free or at a heavy discount or whatever. Like, and I don't want that to sound like heartless, but at the end of the day, I'm a big believer of like, I'm going to support my friends and my family, even at like full price. Or if they discount me, I'm going to tip them extra. Or I don't think we need to devalue ourselves in order to be successful and, or to support people. Like, sure, we can absolutely give people discounts or I do giveaways all the time. I work with nonprofits and we like do things like there's things that are out there that you don't see behind the curtain. Um, but all of that does also kind of have a greater purpose because you're cultivating relationships with people and they're sending you more people. And anyways, so a lot of it is just having boundaries again. I think at the end of the day, this is not just side income. This is literally paying my bills. So I have to make smart decisions in order to like pay for my kids whatever or my house or all of those things because we are a dual income household. We can't just survive off of one of us. Because we live in Utah and it's expensive. But but so I think it's really easy to get there. However, I work in sales technically, right? It's a service industry. You're selling something and it's really hard. It's not a steady income, it's not a steady paycheck, and that is really easy for people to get like discouraged on because we're so used to working like a 9 to 5 or maybe an hourly job, especially if we're younger and like just getting in the industry, for example. And so switching from my own experience, switching from like a salaried income where I knew exactly what my paycheck was going to be every single 2 weeks to, oh, this month I'm making thousands. This month I made like next to nothing. That's impossible to maintain. And it can be so discouraging, both mentally and financially. And so I had to learn that real quick. Like, you cannot just be like, oh, I have money, now I'm going to spend it. You still have to be strategic. And so in the very beginning, I invested in things. I'm investing in an accountant. I'm investing in assistants. I'm investing in like mentors or coaches who have been in the industry, or just like life coaches in general. And just having a better understanding of how those things work. If anything, it honestly helps me be more present and better during appointments or when I'm being creative or like helping somebody, just because I'm not so stressed about it. I'm not constantly thinking, how am I going to fill my books this month? Because if it's a slower month, I'm set up right. And so it's one of those things that is hard to learn, because it's easy to let it make you want to give up because it's hard. And or it's hard to maintain. It can be really taxing emotionally and mentally. But once you get to a point where you're just like, nope, I've saved for this, or I've just, managed my time or my money or whatever it may be properly, it's a like, I'm totally fine taking a vacation, or I'm totally okay if my sales are down this month. And then if I'm not always thinking about like, well, how am I going to fill my books or whatever it may be, then it allows me to just be so present during appointments. And yeah, so, but my thought process for that was, it's hard to learn that in order to make money, you have to invest money,
Mhm.
or in order to make money, you have to spend money. There's still a proper way to do that, like still pay yourself. But um, there's always going to be a point in someone's business where it feels really hard and you're going to have to make a decision of like, I either need help or I need to cut back. And
Mhm.
I'm someone who never gives up. And I would, every single time I have ever invested in an assistant or a coach or more education or whatever it may be, I've never regretted it. Like, I can think of like one time, but even that is like, well, it really wasn't that bad. Like, and so it's just, if you always start with a place of like coming into it from a business first, and then you're just setting yourself up for success, I think you'll be okay. And have those boundaries. I'm really lucky to have learned good boundaries from my corporate years. I
Mm.
worked with sales bros, and so I had to really quickly just be like, leave me alone. I don't work at 8 p.m. like you do. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so having really good boundaries, and honestly just knowing what your goals are. If you have a clear vision, whether it be a money goal, a time goal, filling your books, whatever it may be, it's so easy to make decisions if you just know exactly what that is. So,
I Everything that you said, you have such a great balance of like having this, like you've used the word boundaries, right? Of having this sort of centeredness.
mhm.
And at the same time, having this understanding that committing to your business and pouring into your business is not a like it's not opposite of that. Does that make sense? Like it seems sometimes like we either do
Mhm.
this or that. We either focus on our business or we have boundaries. And
Yeah.
you have a great like balanced look at that. And what I love, because I actually hate the word balance. Balance drives me crazy because again, I think we feel like it's this segmented way of looking at life, like everything is separate. When
Yeah.
in fact balance lives in everything working harmoniously together. So it's I love
Yeah.
the fact that you have both, but you said something that was so good and likely comes again from your experience. You just mentioned the corporate experience, and I love that you have that perspective. But you said, um, I'm in sales, I think because I'm in a service industry or something like that. But you said I'm in
Yeah.
sales because I deliver a service. So that is a huge gap in our industry, is that our industry hates the word sales. And
Hmm.
it's one of the number one reasons why hairstylists
Oh,
and salons struggle so much, because they're like, no, this is a service industry. Like we make people feel beautiful. And it's like, but if there's no people, right? If there's no people, you're making no one feel beautiful. It doesn't matter what you
Right.
want to do. So how do you,
Well, and
how do
you're
you get,
selling a service.
yeah. How do you get, so then how, maybe the question is, how do you get, how do you wrangle with, or what would you tell someone? What would you tell someone who would say something like, well, I don't want to be like an ick salesperson. Like, I don't want to feel salesy. And so I'm not going to do ABCXYZ. And so I'm just going to sit here and have no clients in my chair. Like, what would you say to that person?
Okay. So, well, first I would start with, well, do you want me to be your friend or do you want me to be honest? Because those are two totally different conversations. Um,
Honest,
but
all the way, honest.
yeah, no, always. I would much rather be honest. But sometimes people are just, having a moment. So it's like, okay, I'll just make you feel good. But the thing about it is it's a sales industry. It's not the same, obviously. It is not like you're selling like solar or I don't know, bug spray or whatever. But if you're in a salon, you're selling products. I don't know. I just think it's to me it's just like, but you are selling something. You're selling this idea or like a service and that you're going to feel good when you leave my chair. And so if anything, if you can just accept that sales is not bad, you're fine. Because, and if anything, I would just get really curious. So a lot of people in my experience, um, are just like, well, I don't want to sell. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to like be icky. And so I would just be like, okay, well, tell me more about that. Like, what is your experience in sales, if any? Because sometimes maybe they have done something sales equivalent. There's so many different ways that could look where, yeah, maybe they were in like a Ponzi scheme one time because they bought into something that someone sold them, or, or I don't know what it could be, but there's so many. And so if you can actually get to the underlying issue, because I don't think sales is actually the issue, it's this idea of how you're going to be perceived. And so we don't want people to think that, at least in my industry, a big thing is like, I'm not telling you you're ugly. But I think that's what people think is like, well, I have to tell people and help people recognize that their hair sucks or the colors they're wearing are the worst. And it's like, no, that's not it at all. Sure, maybe that would resonate with a certain small percentage of people, but like, I don't know, that's not how I run my business. But so I think if you could just understand more of like, what is it about this idea of sales that is so like where you were immediately like repulsed, then like let's talk about more about that. So, but if anything, I would just tell somebody the reality is it is sales, but you're selling an opportunity for them to feel their best, save time, save money, because you really are in the long run. And it's like, why wouldn't we want that? And my whole thing is like, I do like to think like, what's worst case scenario? What's best case scenario? Worst case scenario is you don't talk ever about what you do. And then you're sitting there wondering, why am I not making money? Why did I just invest thousands of dollars to be educated and to be prepared to build a studio and I can't fill my books? That is crazy. You just invested so much in yourself. So like just do the thing and figure it out. Best case scenario is you talk about it and you change lives. So I don't know. But there was something else I was gonna say and I lost my train of thought, but I just think I don't know, maybe I'm not nice enough, but I'm just like, you just figure it out. But also it's again like at the end of the day, you're selling yourself all the time. You're selling yourself when you meet new people, when you are applying for a job, if you're like doing any type of hobby where you have to like do an audition. Like we're constantly putting ourselves at the forefront, and we're selling way more often than we realize. It's just we have to reframe that mindset. So we have to unlearn what we think sales is and then relearn what it means to us. If we can take the ick out of what sales is, and if we're not approaching it from a place of desperation, you're going to be just fine. So if you think of it as you're solving a problem, it doesn't feel weird to me.
Everything that you said was so powerful, and I think will do a lot of good in this industry. So I just want to thank you, because you have no idea how the words that you just rounded out are going to help. They're going to help people in a big way. So thank you for that. So Chandler, I am going to have to look more into color analysis, because it reminds me so much of what I've thought about. For years, you'll see hairstylists that they don't understand underlying tones, right? They don't understand the underlying tones and the reflective tones, if that makes sense. And in hair, there's literally like pigment that goes inside versus reflection that stays on the outside because of light. But when hairstylists understand that, it becomes so big. So I'm going to encourage everybody to look and listen to everything that you're doing so they can see those shifts. Because when I was watching the videos of how women's skin tone would change, I think if our industries were to come together in happy harmony and every hairstylist had a color analyst that they could like work with and partner with to help in that scenario, gosh, it would make all of that so much easier, I think. But you said a question earlier and I wrote it down, and this is what I want to leave everybody with as we part. Is you said a question that you asked yourself that I think is something that's of high value. And it was, what am I willing to sacrifice in order to reach my goals, and what am I not? And so as we finish up here, I want to ask, when you ask yourself that question, so you said you ask it to yourself once a year, and then anytime that you feel like you sort of need to realign. So what am I willing to sacrifice in order to reach my goals, and what am I not? I think it's oftentimes what am I not that people reactively list off, like I'm done doing this. But I love that you start with the first part. So how does that show up for you to sort of close this out? Because most people that are going to listen to this are going to either be leading creative people or they are a creative person themselves. And it's really easy when we are creatively driven people. A lot of times we focus or we function emotion first instead of logic first. And we need to show up emotionally sometimes before we can get to the logic. So what am I willing to sacrifice in order to reach my goals? How do you use that question, and why that part first?
Okay, so there's two different ways that I do this. One is my personal life, and then one is for my business. So as far as like personal life goes, I make a list of like what I'm willing to sacrifice, what I'm not willing to sacrifice. To me, exactly kind of like what you were saying, it's so easy to come up with a list of what I'm not willing to sacrifice. But at the same time, it's like, are you really not willing to sacrifice that? Like, how badly do you want something? And that's kind of what it makes you do. And so, for example, in my personal life, I am willing to sacrifice listening to music so that I can listen to a podcast or a book. That is something so simple, but like it makes a huge difference. It really does. Or I'm willing to maybe sacrifice a little bit of sleep sometimes so that I can get something done so that I have the weekend off or whatever it may be. And it really is little things like that that I don't think people, one, realize that they're already doing, or two, don't realize how easy it actually is. It doesn't need to be these huge monumental things. So then when it comes down to business, I was looking around because I have two books that I would highly recommend people read. Because I read this one, let me grab it really quick. It is so good. Where is it? I know what it's called, but it's better if you see it. It's called, I have too many books, you guys. Oh no. Okay, I can't find it. It's honestly probably upstairs in my room. But it's called Mount Entrepreneur. I don't know if you link show notes, but maybe I can send you a link to it.
Yeah.
So Mount Entrepreneur, um, this book literally, the first time I read it, it like changed my life. But it's all about like making sacrifices that are in alignment with your goals, your values, all of that. It also has a much longer name. That's just what I remember. And then The Slight Edge. The Slight Edge is another amazing book, and it's all about like how can you be better than like what your last 1%, essentially. And I read these books all the time. They're so good because we all need reminders. Um, Another one that just came out that's really good is there's so many books. I could list so many books, but when it comes to business, so my problem is I'm a dreamer. I have really big dreams. Like I have really big goals, but it's hard for me to bring that down to like daily steps. So I use the sacrificing like list essentially to help me with that. So for example, one of my goals is to eventually open up my own like bigger studio where I can train analysts, and then so I have like a conference room, and then I'll have like a studio space where after they graduate they can just use it until they make their own studio.
Mm-hmm.
Um anyway, so that's like big like long term type of a goal. But I'm starting now. Like, okay, so what does that look like? And is what I'm doing right now going to prepare me for that? So some of those things is like getting rid of stuff that I was doing that literally doesn't really serve a whole lot of purpose because
Mm-hmm.
it's not getting me to an end goal. So investing my time, investing my space. So I'm willing to sacrifice maybe some of my paycheck to pay for an assistant because an assistant's going to help me like with everything. My assistants are the best. But so there's just things like that. And it just puts it on paper. And for me, it just makes it seem so much more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And so usually at the beginning of the year, I kind of think like, what are my goals for the year? I usually do like a finance one, something that's more in like the education space. So whether that's like get certain training or invest in software or something like that. Um, and then I have like just other little goals. And I just ask myself, like, am I willing to work weekends in order to fit in more clients so that I get more experience? And if I am, still, what are my boundaries with that? Like, at what time do I want to be done? And so when you just write it all down, it makes it seem so much more attainable. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's holding you accountable. So I literally have it hung up just over here on my office wall, and I revisit it because sometimes we lose track of it, and that's okay. But it's almost like a subconscious thing that's always in the back of my mind. Like, okay, this is my goal. It could even be like followers on Instagram. Like, okay, if I want X amount of followers, am I posting content? And because it's always in the back of my mind, there's times where even at night, everyone's asleep, but I'm just wide awake, like scrolling on my phone. And I'm like, wait a minute, I should be editing a video right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I'll go do that. And so a lot of it is just discipline, which is honestly the hardest part. But it's so helpful, especially if you struggle with making boundaries for yourself. So I talk to a lot of analysts who just really struggle with like not responding to messages or DMs or like raising their prices. Like, please reevaluate pricing all the time or at least annually. You don't have to be at the top, but you also don't have to be at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anytime you're doing education, revisit it. Um, like, know your worth. You're so valuable and you will always find your people. Every time you're doing something for your business and it feels scary, like you're going to weed people out from you, you're actually getting like the people who want to be with you even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to carry you through life forever. And so make your lists. They're awesome.
No, I love that. This has been such a valuable conversation. I think in so many different ways. I mean, for the business owners who listen to the podcast, and then also for any professional, I think, in the creative space. This has been such a gift. And I am so appreciative of everything that you offered up and shared, Chandler, and the fact that you even agreed to come on and do this on a whim. Like, I'm super appreciative. We are going to close this out. So, Chandler, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. And I'm going to leave all of the notes of everywhere that people can find you to learn more from you, learn more about color analysis in the future. So, thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me.